You're still watching the City of Lagos TV show. You're welcome to another very interesting interview session where we're going to be taking a look at infrastructural transformation in Lagos. In recent times, the City of Lagos has been described as a construction site. For some, it's an infrastructural village where quite a number of projects are taking place. And so to have a holistic picture in terms of fantastic progressive infrastructural success so far, we'll be speaking with the special advisor to the governor on works and infrastructure, talking about engineer Aramide Adeyoye on the program. Madam, you're welcome.
It's my pleasure.
It is quite important to verify the fact that Lagos has become a construction site. There are diverse areas of infrastructural development that, of course, brought to a large extent an amazing transformation of the city. We want you to give us a catalog of quite a number of flagged-off projects, ongoing projects, commissioned projects, and others, because we have been opportune to witness yourself and the governor and other state executives at these various projects. So can you encapsulate both in waterways and other areas of infrastructural development?
Thank you. So I would start from here. The developmental agenda that this administration, Mr. Governor, at inception, during campaign period, did promise Lagosians to say, what exactly will we need to do to make this city livable? In terms of the team's agenda, this ministry sits on the T block. So on that T block, we'll be talking about the infrastructure, what it will do. And there we have the reduction of gridlocks. 60 gridlock points were identified in Lagos. So in the early days of 2019, one of the first set of things that was Lagos at that time in 2019, if you go down memory lane, was gridlocks, was potholes. And then it was also raining cats and dogs. So we have moved from the era of the season of the potholes into removal of the gridlocks. And then we began infrastructural upgrade, urban renewal in some cities. And then we've embarked on new construction of some new roads alignments. So that essentially is what we have done. In addition, for the new roads we're doing, we're trying to key into the intermodal transport system so that at least you can have integration of the water, the road, and then the rail in line with the state strategic transport master plan. So every project that we pick speaks to that. Once you're able to connect, so whether be it Obashekumade Road, where you have that journey ends in a jetty where you can take, and you have your bus ride, you have your Lamata, your bus pass. Whether it is Ishefun Davis that also leads to a jetty, whether it is Shuti, it also leads into a jetty, whether it's the reconstruction, urban regeneration around the city. So along, there was Abule Egba Road that had the bus there, and you can also go over the flyover and get into the rail station. So everything that you are speaking is speaking to making commuting easy and removing the gridlocks. Of course, in the process of doing that, in a city as congested as Lagos, with 3.6 square kilometers and with about 25 million people, and still counting, you will expect this kind of thing. But we've tried to manage that. And so what I tell people is, Lagos has its peculiarity. It's the smallest size state with that kind of population concentration, and then with the highest vehicular density of close to 280 cars per kilometer. Nowhere is that vehicular density as high as that nationally. So those are the peculiarities of Lagos, and that's what we are managing. And it doesn't mean that tomorrow people are still not coming in droves to Lagos. So Lagos is the victim of its own success. They will keep coming. The question is the stretch on the infrastructure. How are we able to accommodate and plan? Which is also why we say we must get our data right. We must get our population right so that it enables us to plan better. The good thing is that the census is on, but more importantly also the LASRA. Plan better and get it right. So those are all of the things that we have done. And in the last 3.5 years, we have been able to add a total of new 115 kilometers of roadway to the network. Lagos has several kilometers of road and bridges, about 63 bridges. You have federal bridges and you have state. So in total, we'll be able to add 115 kilometers of new road alignment. And by the time we finish this administration and we finish that construction, we'll have added another 660 to that 115. So by the end of this administration, with all of the projects that we've embarked on, we should be able to add about 775 kilometers stock of road network on the infrastructure.
Now, looking at these very quite interesting efforts by the Babajide Sanwo-Olu government, but there is also the aspect of ensuring that all this construction comes with quality construction work. So we do not have a situation where it's not just about fixing these roads. These roads should last many years as expected. Is that also put into proper consideration?
Thank you for that question. So when we came on board, one of the first things that we did as an administration was to get the standard operating procedures right. And so the State Executive Council did pass that standard operating procedures. It enables people to know what exactly, how to do things. For somebody coming as a contractor to this state, what you must do, procurement processes, even for the quality control and quality assurance that you will do in building roads and bridges in Lagos, what you must. So that was passed. And then on the training side, on the manpower development side, get the engineers to understand what this requirement is in terms of supervision. So a lot of capacity development took place along that line. So for contractors who were not ready to comply, we did tell them, this is the way we're going. A lot of independent testing. So we got an independent lab, starting even also with the Public Works Corporation. What kind of asphalt are you producing? So for every production that comes out, it is certified, it is tested. So you're not just laying asphalt that's come one rainy season, is all off. So you got it right, because prior to that, all of the consoles that you had on the plants, on the marine plants, they were obsolete, they were not working. So even when you, in terms of measurements or controls, what you were putting in bitumen content, it wasn't accurate. So all of those ones were things that we worked around to ensure that the quality of what you would get was something that everybody could sign on. So that KQC, we could verify that it was working. The training and what engineers to expect when you are supervising projects was done. Quality control, even for the concrete works, it's something. Then we also up the standards. We then look to say, no longer do people carry 30 tons of, everybody knows by the federal government regulation, even though there are penalties for carrying excess axle loadings, it's ₦1 million per extra excess ton. So if you carry in excess, it's 1 million naira per excess ton. So nobody penalizes, but the consequence of not penalizing and what it does to the road is that for flexible pavements, you then have deformation. And deformation with time, alligator cracks, rot, and then the road disintegrates. So sometimes when I hear people say engineers don't design or they don't know, people don't understand that you design for, because you don't have your factor of safety must of course end somewhere. If I've designed a road to carry a 30-tonner vehicle and you are loading it with 80 tons, most of the articulated trucks, petroleum product tankers, some carry 80,000 liters, 80 tons. Of course, there are implications on the roadway. So those are all of the things that destroy our road. But we got it right on the design level, and we have also implemented those standard operating procedures and then the quality control and assurance for the roadways. Anybody will attest that the quality of roads that you get, they have improved in the last 3 years.
We've also observed that the construction work, talking about infrastructure work, is not necessarily that which is done within the city space, talking about the cosmopolitan city space now. So maybe you need to fill us in from the local areas, LCDAs, and local government areas. These inner roads, are there projects this government has been able to address?
Just like there are federal roads, there are also state roads and there are local government roads. A lot of people have asked questions to say, what is happening to the inner roads? As a government, we have fixed about 1,132 inner roads since the commencement of this administration, either as sectional repairs, rehabilitation, repair. We've done that on 1,132 roads. The Public Works Corporation right now does the repairs on the state level side. Ideally, the local governments are also supposed to fix their own inner parts of the inner roads. So because we have not been able to find a working pattern, which we are almost finalizing now, to say, local governments, what exactly are the issues here? There are some skill sets if you want to fix a road and you want to fix well. So there are some competencies. Are those competencies available? In the event that they are not available, can Public Works Corporation fill in the gap? Because then you should have local engineers on the local government side who will fix all of those ones. So capacity development, training, how to do it, that before the thing disintegrates, they have fixed it. Do they need support from the main ministry or from the Public Works? What kind of backup to do? How many inner roads will they undertake? People have also asked, do they have the revenues? Yes, they have the revenues. But it's something that we're working around, and then we'll see which model best works on how to fix those inner roads together with the local government, because ultimately it's about developing capacity.
SA, the fourth Mainland Bridge, this is going to be bringing phenomenal transformation to the city of Lagos. Just for us to have a clearer picture, what are the terms of agreement with the Chinese company taking over this project? Project delivery date, modalities and composition for those whose properties that will go off the way for this project to get the desired work done. And finally, we are told that the fourth mainland bridge is going to be tolled. Why is this?
Okay, so thank you. So let me start from the last question. The fourth mainland bridge, by the STMP, we ought to have done this 30-something years ago. But it doesn't matter now that we're doing it. The estimated cost of construction is about $2.5 billion. There is no way that the state's internally generated revenue can get that type of funding. And yet we need to do this. And so the only way to do it is via a PPP model, a public-private partnership model. And of course, if an investor is bringing in money, that person has to recoup back the funds. And the way the recoupment will take place is via tolling. So that is the reason for the tolling. Even other climbs, Elizabeth Bridge in England, it was done under a PPP. It's tolled. Even till to date, they have recouped, but the toll is still going on because they found that there is a major revenue on that route. But first, they had to look for a PPP funding to build it. The trajectory of money now is in that side of the continent. It's the Chinese that have the money. The funding is coming via the China, guaranteed by the China Exim Bank. It's a 37-kilometer long roadway and bridge. The roadway part is 32 kilometers, and then you have the bridge component about 4.5 kilometers over water. It's estimated that you have 9 interchanges, so you can ramp up at different legs into the bridge. It's a 2x5 with a shoulder, without the shoulder 4. It's a 2x5 lane on either side for the bridge. So costing of funding is by PPP, so that necessitates tolling. Next is also the settlement action plan. That is incorporated already in the cost of the funding. The cost of the funding is about $2.5 million. The duration of the construction is bearing early works. And when I mean early works, I mean site installation and all of the rest, setting up equipment, your plant yard area and all of the rest. You have 42 months. 42 months is 3.5 years. So that is the construction period for that project. It's expected to take off from Sonya, and then via Ajabadore, Langbasa, Ikorodu, Bayeku, come out at Konuarepo, bust out at Sparklight on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. That's the trajectory where it's supposed to pass. The georeference coordinates as gazetted by, and of course a lot of stakeholder engagements have taken place. There's a lot of marking that has been done. There are pictures digitized that you have taken. So we've done a lot of studies in terms of bathymetric survey, Google imagery, what structures are there before you began, because Nigerians also like, once they hear something is going to happen here, you see a lot of speculators. And so people even encroach into areas that have been gazetted that this is the pathway for this construction. The alignment that has been selected is coming after extensive design studies. It was the 16th one. It represents the alignments that the least affected structures will impact, about 800. The cost of compensation is already included in the cost of building the bridge.
Now, let's look at Pensinema. What is that strategic significant development in Pensinema that has also changed the infrastructural face of the city of Lagos in that area?
For me and for this administration, Pensinema represents the citizenry's will over the desire to deliver the dividends of democracy. I keep telling people there is continuity in government. So it doesn't really matter any administration that comes in, where you have a strategic transport master plan. Any project by the past administration, the next administration can actually pick it off. So it's a victory for the citizenry. That's why I said, for me, Pensinema is a victory for the citizenry. It represents the dividend of democracy. We came on board, it was at 18%. It was a no-brainer. It would do a lot of benefits to the public. It would ease the gridlock around that roundabout. There was no reason not to finish it, and we took it headlong and finished it. Before, the traditional Pensinema, you could either go to Okoba, you could go to Yanokpaja, you could take it down to Isokoko side. So it was a confluence of, and it was always a gridlock point until that great separation took place with the bridge. So that was done, and it's finished.
This government is, of course, with all indication, looking at what the political terrain tells us, it's very obvious Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu is coming back for his second term. He's actually the man to beat by any other political party. But Lagosians would like to know, this government for this term is rounding up soon. And of course, what are those major projects your office and this government intends to round up, and those that are going to dovetail into another term? What should be the expectations of Lagosians?
Thank you. You said this administration is rounding, and you said Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu and the deputy, they are indeed the team to beat. It's not an accident. While you do not want to bask in vainglory, I keep telling people one good term deserves another. They have both worked hard together with the Executive Council, every member of the state's Executive Council. They have proven their mettle. They have worked to deliver the dividends of democracy to the people. The other point to also note is the fact that you also said, what are the projects that you would like to? So we've done a lot of projects that we finished, dusted and closed, and there's some that we'll dovetail into the next one. One major one that we're likely to hand over before the end of this administration is the Lagos-Badagry Expressway as concessioned up to Okokomaiko. We will finish that. One other one that we also will finish, the Mainland Bridge. That's also by May, we will finish that. Only 3 days ago, they started launching the beams. That's one thing we promised Lagosians, that this bridge, that for the past 20 years that we ought to have done, that we have not done, we will do it. We promised Lagosians that we will finish Obashekumade. Obashekumade is finished, ready for commissioning now. We promised them we will finish Ijede Road, 6 kilometers. It's finished and it was already opened for traffic. Igbogbo-Bayeku is one road which is the phase 2 of that Ijede that is ongoing now. It's about 28% as I speak, so that will go into the next administration, but you can clearly see it going on. You have the phase 1 of the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway that we promised them. That's 100% completed, which is what Mr. President commissioned. The phase 2 for flag off, even though we are flagging it off, we have already commenced construction work, and close to about 3 to 4 kilometers is already done on that road.
We want to thank you very much, madam. It's been quite expository, really, telling us these very fantastic achievements. But quickly, Lagos as a cosmopolitan city, virtually almost every day, about close to 4,000 to 5,000 people throng into the city. And it is obvious that despite this landmark achievement, there is no doubt there is going to be pressure on these infrastructural developments. So, in the strategic plan, are there very progressive, proactive, dynamic approach to absorb this shock?
Thank you for that question. If that's why I encourage people to take a copy, go on the website, Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget. If you Google it, you'll see the development plan and you read. You will know where the next development plan of Lagos is heading towards. It's good, it's informative. Lagos East, Lagos West. So you'll be able to build the Badagry Seaport. You can build the Badagry Seaport. That's also why it's important to finish that Lagos-Badagry Expressway. It's not just that Lagos-Badagry Expressway, it's also the parallel roads to it, like Otedola Road, that we're doing in a sustainable manner in concrete. It's also the Bubamarwa, the tank farm owners route that we're also building. The infrastructure is pressured. And the earlier we're able to disperse that cluster of people coming into Lagos every day into other parts. If other parts will develop, because there's already a spillover into Greater Lagos, into Ogun State. If people will come and they see the quality of life improving, Ogun State going on, then the pressure goes in there. That's why we set up the Lagos-Ogun Joint Border Development Commission, because we will get to a state that the two states begin to blur. The blur zone begins to narrow out. So what I keep encouraging people is, yes, we are pressured, the infrastructure, which is also where credible data comes in for planning, proper planning. That's why everybody wants a pie in Lagos. It's not an accident that all of the investors come into Lagos. Data centers are springing up. The Googles of the world are coming in. The main one are coming in because they see, first is the security that Lagos provides compared to other parts of the country. Also is the fact that it's cosmopolitan, infrastructure is largely developed, and lastly, the people are also accommodating.
As a special advisor to the governor, this is one man who is determined to succeed with a very solid crack team. What will you say about Mr. Governor putting your kind of team together to achieve this great success?
Mr. Governor is called the he for she governor because he's somebody who believes in the power of women to deliver. So the State Executive Council comprises of several women in cabinet, women who are formidable in their own different fields of endeavor, who can on their own stand on their own. So I think it's a deliberate policy to look for people who have the right competencies and capacity and of course character to be able to man these offices. The cabinet of Lagos State has never had this large size number of women in this cabinet. And it's not an accident. I think that the men are beginning to realize that women are a little bit more focused when they have the requisite skills and they are in their areas of discipline. So it's not an accident. For the work relationship between the governor, the deputy governor, they're very cordial, they're fantastic people to work with because they give you the leverage to be able to work freely and then put your expertise at play. Not just in infrastructure, not on the rail line alone, in SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, in Ministry of WAPA, Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, in wealth creation, then even in education, the Commissioner for Education, even for a stab. So it's as if the governor, the deputy governor, they've all gone out to look for people who, in their chosen fields, they are indeed tested and they have the competence and the character.
Esther, let's share your challenges. Despite all these remarkable efforts, initiatives, there are likely challenges for the government and for your office as the special advisor. Can we share these challenges and how you've been able to surmount them?
Well, good question, thank you. For the government, I keep saying it is about revenues. Infrastructure, provision, there's pressure on the infrastructure and we need to grow more. So we have a capacity in this ministry to do like 260 projects in a year. And at the end of the day, we end up not doing more than 26 or 30, less than 10%, because you do not have the funding. So it's about getting the revenues.
Engineer Aramide Adeyoye, engineer par excellence. This is a woman who has actually, to a large extent, been able to interpret the theme's agenda from the infrastructural perspective. It's been quite interesting, really. So, madam, on a final note, what's your word of encouragement, motivation for Lagosians and all stakeholders?
Okay, so for Lagosians, I would say this: have faith with this administration. Mr. Governor, Mr. Deputy, they indeed have a heart to govern. And that's what is important. When you have people who have a heart to govern, who are ready to give in their best, it's good to go with them. I keep saying it, one good term deserves another. These two guys, together with every state member of EXCO, they have worked themselves out in the last 3.5 years. And so what I want to employ Lagosians is give them one more chance to be able to complete all of these projects that they have started. The dividends, you can already see the dividends of democracy. You can see the infrastructure growth, even in the space of answers. And that's why the campaign it's Lagos rising. We're rising from the ruins, the ashes. You can see it. When we said we were going to do the red line, this same time last year in Milwaukee, it's like, what train, what are they doing? The mayor of Milwaukee said the loss that they have is the gain of Lagos. The train came. That rail line is something that we started a long time, now it's finished. The Mainland Bridge is something that we have been at it on, and now we can see it. We said we'll deliver some other roads and regenerate some areas. You are seeing it. That is a heart that is ready. It's like a talk-do. So Mr. Governor is Mr. Infrastructure, but he's more like an Ekweme. He's a talk-do person. He wants to do what he says he will do, and I think that's why they deserve, both he and Mr. Deputy Governor, they deserve a second term. And so let the citizenry from day one come out, and it starts with the process. That process is collection of PVC. So come back and vote for this man, together with the deputy, who indeed have a heart to govern Lagos, so that we can continue to provide this infrastructure that we've always craved for. But more importantly, when this infrastructure is provided, it's for them to take ownership. Ownership, 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 I repeat.
Well, that's it on the City of Lagos TV show for now. The City of Lagos TV show will continue in a moment.